If you're worried about confiscation of wealth, either directly, as in Saudi Arabia, or indirectly through inflation and a depreciating currency, all they have to remember is a key. This is digital gold. You can't confiscate it. This idea of Bitcoin as an insurance policy against actual confiscation of wealth, or confiscation of wealth because government policies are destroying purchasing power. We think that's a rising concern around the world, and that Bitcoin is an antidote. And if you compare the energy use of Bitcoin in particular, compared to the energy it would take to mine gold, Bitcoin is digital gold, it's a fraction of it. On a conversation that I had at a conference with an FBI agent, he said, this is the best thing that ever happened to us. What does the FBI do? It's filled with cryptographers who are able to break codes and figure out illicit activity. The Bitcoin blockchain is so transparent by IP address. So pattern recognition, cryptography, an interesting way to think about it. We can see trillions of dollars in use cases for Bitcoin network. It is right now the most secure blockchain technology out there. What's interesting around this is no one's saying this about Bitcoin, right? What's so interesting about that is there's no choke point. You know, when China tried to shut down Bitcoin, basically in various ways shut down mining and trading, it migrated to Japan, South Korea, Vietnam. They became centers. So it's like, I don't know if you have the game whack-a-mole, you whack this one, it'll pop up somewhere else, right? And that's what's happening with it, because it's decentralized. There's no choke point. And if you'll notice, Bitcoin is not, or I haven't seen it mentioned much, in the same context as Libra. And it's because there's no way the governments can stop it.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that Bitcoin was kind of the hot thing sort of this time last year.
Yeah, this has taken the heat off of Bitcoin. Now, India has banned all cryptos, including Bitcoin. And the penalty is jail time for using it.
Wow.
So maybe that will work, but maybe it will backfire, right? Because in this world, all you have to remember, if you're worried about confiscation of wealth, either directly, as in Saudi Arabia, or indirectly through inflation and a depreciating currency, let's say the Indian population wants an insurance policy against that, all they have to remember is a key. It takes a lot to remember this, but there's no gold that can be confiscated. This is digital gold. You can't confiscate it. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
So do you see Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general only getting stronger as the years progress?
Yeah, I think in watching the drop in the Bitcoin price from $20,000 at the end of 2017 to $3,000 in the early part of 2019. It's now back to 10,000, of course. We've witnessed an increase that Bitcoin's share of the crypto asset network value, think market cap in our language, but network value. So there are more than 2,000 crypto assets. Bitcoin share has gone from the low 30s since that peak at 20,000 to roughly 70%. And so what that has told us, or the way we interpret it, is that Bitcoin is the reserve currency of the crypto asset ecosystem, which is an exalted role. And so our confidence has increased for that reason. It's also increased because of confiscation of wealth that we are seeing in the form of hyperinflation in Venezuela and Zimbabwe. Now Argentina's in trouble. So these Hong Kong's, boiling over. And so this idea of Bitcoin as an insurance policy against actual confiscation of wealth, or confiscation of wealth because government policies are destroying purchasing power. We think that's a rising concern around the world, and that Bitcoin is an antidote. And we've dimensioned it in many ways, but that's at least a $2 to $3 trillion opportunity. And that's just for the super wealthy if they decide to have an insurance policy, whereas Bitcoin today is roughly at a $200 billion market cap. So a long way to go, just for that one use case. I'll talk about crypto first, since Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, I think twice this week, has gone out of her way to telegraph how speculative Bitcoin is, and how it's not environmentally friendly or sustainable, and how it is it helps illicit activity or encourages and so forth. She doesn't understand the crypto space. And I say this with all due respect. I just don't think it is what she does. She's responding to a movement in price, that I understand, which has been very rapid. Think about it, I think up fivefold. Up fivefold since the end of the third quarter. That's pretty extreme. So I can understand her saying that. As far as the environment, I encourage you to look up Yassine El-Mandra's white paper on our website, ARK-Invest.com, and you will find in, I think, the second to the last white paper that he addressed, no, it was a white paper on mining. He addressed this environmental issue. And if you compare the energy use of Bitcoin in particular, compared to the energy it would take to mine gold, Bitcoin is digital gold, it's a fraction of it. And then if you want to think about it a little bit more broadly, because of course the Bitcoin blockchain and other blockchains are going to enable much more rapid settlement of trades and transactions than the traditional financial institution, say 10 minutes as opposed to a week or a few days. Think about the energy consumption of the traditional financial world, and you'll see in that chart what Bitcoin is using in terms of energy right now, which is mostly renewable, by the way, hydroelectric and other renewables, is again fraction. It hardly measures up at all to that. As far as criminal activity, I mean, I'll just reflect on a conversation that I had at a conference with an FBI agent very early on in my understanding or learning about Bitcoin. And he said, this is the best thing that ever happened to us. What does the FBI do? It's filled with cryptographers who are able to break codes and figure out illicit activity. They have been able to. One of the reasons is that the Bitcoin blockchain is so transparent by IP address. So pattern recognition, cryptography, an interesting way to think about it. And as far as speculative, sure, it's had a very big move recently, and I would say some of the recent buyers might have been influenced by other people and not a real understanding of what is going on here. But as I did say this week, and I saw it in a report or in a headline, I did say and go through Yassine's paper, we can see trillions of dollars in use cases for Bitcoin. And I think the most important thing that we as investors need to do is be very supportive of those who are evolving this ecosystem. And so we at ARK are thinking about ways to help the community in terms of Bitcoin developers to secure the network. It is right now the most secure blockchain technology out there. And so for very high value transaction, think $1 million transaction, it does take 10 minutes, and that seems to be a complaint, and it is a complaint relative to other blockchains that involve smart contracts that are instantaneously settled. But this is the most secure network, and one reason is that 10 minutes. And if the cost is, I don't know, $10, and I'm not quite sure what the cost is, but compared to the cost to transfer $1 million through traditional financial systems, no, there is no comparison. So our confidence in Bitcoin and the Bitcoin blockchain has continued to grow over the years, as I think we've stated very often.